morning, my dear friends. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you. My name is Huang. I'm a psychologist at Northwestern University Psychological Services. I'm also a faculty member at Northwestern Medical School. I was born and raised in Taiwan. My name Huang actually means to carry on kindness in Chinese. When I look back at my life, my heart is full of gratitude because I have been through many hardships. But every time when I was about to quit, somehow God sent angels through one smile, one affirmative look, one insightful word. They restored me. That's the only reason I'm still standing in front of you today. These angels have inspired me to be a healer of the hearts and to be a student of life for life. We Chinese have a word called Yuan. Basically, it's talking about all of us coming from so many different parts of the world, and yet our paths crossed at this specific time and space. It can be very sacred. It can be very meaningful. As I'm thinking about what can I possibly say about living a passionate life, about how to really support one another to realize the dreams, all within 15 minutes, and still be valuable to you. What can I say? I may not see you for the rest of my life, and yet the time is valuable. When I look back at my life, I think of three important things. So I'm going to share with you to focus on one big picture, to develop two crucial habits. And please remember a three-letter word. The PowerPoint is not moving for some reason. Here we go. Thank you very much. To live passionately, the PowerPoint is not moving. If somebody can help me with that, meanwhile, let me carry on. Talking about one big picture. I think about at Northwestern University, years after years, students somehow give me a nickname. They call me the love doctor. Maybe because this is the area I'm interested in. And this is the area I'm interested in. Focus on one big picture. Thank you very much. Somehow, Northwestern University Medical School gave me an extremely rare opportunity to speak to, over the years, the entire 800 medical students. These are very brilliant young people, but how to keep their passion alive, how to keep their passion about people. That's a very important challenge. How do I do that? I ask everybody just one simple question. I ask these brilliant young people, why are you here? What are you looking for in life? Is it a degree, money, status? Eventually, everybody realized that despite our gender, our race, all human beings on earth, we are looking for, eventually, we're looking for happiness. We are not looking for sex, drug, alcohol, second day, feeling even cheaper or more depressed type of happiness. We are looking for authentic happiness. We are looking for a sense of meaning and fulfillment. Now, how do we reach authentic happiness and sense of meaning and fulfillment? Well, we must take a look at the state of the art research. I don't know how many of you have heard about this landmark study called the Harvard Grant study. Basically, they have done study ever since the year 1938. They longitudinal follow-up 238 Harvard sophomore students. Among those students, including US President J.F. Kennedy. They longitudinally follow up those 238 students for 75 years. They learned something very, very important, including something more lighthearted. That is, they find out that the most successful people may not be the people who got the top grade in their class. So for example, everybody knows Microsoft founder Bill Gates. He was even a dropout. And this is consistent with our common knowledge. We tend to see people with exceptional technical and professional skills, saying that they have an IQ of 100, 150, that's pretty high. Somehow they work for boss with IQ of 100, only 100. What's going on? I think typically, people who become successful have emotional intelligence, have good leadership. And leadership is all about understanding and connecting with people. On this research, the most important finding is that the number one predictor of happiness and lifetime satisfaction is what? It's not money, it's not power, it's not status, it's not IQ. The number one predictor of happiness and fulfillment and satisfaction is actually meaningful connections with other human beings. And therefore, the research investigator came up with the conclusion that is, happiness is love, full stop. The conclusion is very consistent with my 30 years of clinical practice. I served many clients. These people are my best teachers. My clients tend to come to me at their most crucial turning points in their life. They gave me the privilege to see through their eyes, experiencing their pain, witnessing their joy when they overcome hardship. This client taught me something very important about life. That is, my dear friends, do you know what is the biggest tragedy on earth? The biggest tragedy on earth, think about it. From my perspective, is that you can be surrounded by people and yet you still feel lonely. The biggest tragedy is that physically you can be so close to people you are supposed to love and people who are supposed to love you. And yet your heart can be 10 million miles apart. The biggest tragedy is that we are all taught that we should love. Because if you don't, if you're guilty, and yet somehow it's hard for us to love spontaneously. My clients also taught me what is the number one blessing on earth. The number one blessing on earth is through your life. If you even have just one person, hopefully quite a few people, who are able to love you. I define love as when you are in pain, they are even more painful than you are. I saw it at Children's Cancer Hospital. I saw it from the tears of the mothers of the dying children. I know there's true love. I also saw it at the Houston. They have the best cancer treatment center. I saw when a husband watching her wife went through chemotherapy and her wife lost all of the hair. And when his wife started to grow the baby hair, I saw how this husband gently, lovingly touching the wife's own hair. At that moment, I saw love. You know, to suffer with other people actually is easier. Do you know who are your true friends? Your true friend will rejoice with you, truly are happy for you when you become successful. When you have more than one sibling, one person suddenly becomes successful, other people will be happy a little bit. And then they wonder, how come it's not me? Usually, parents will be truly happy when they see their children making some success. To me, that's the number one blessing. Of course, we don't have enough time. There are many other important traits, including in life if you have people who truly understand you. They can read you, get you, they understand. If you are Michael Jordan, they will not force you to be Mozart or Einstein. If you are Einstein, they will force you to be a sports hero. They are able to understand you, get you, and accept you. Not only that, they have enough wisdom and patience to listen to you. You know, it's not easy. We are good at talking, but we are not so good at listening. If I may tell you, the founder of a very important family therapy approach, Dr. Murray Bowen, before he died, people asked him, so what do you think, what are the best parenting practice? He simply gave us 3 words. He said, non-anxious interest. It sounds easy on the surface. What kind of people can have non-anxious interest? When you love somebody, you get so anxious. You want to control them. If you love somebody, you take away their choices. You force them to do things they may not be ready to do. Therefore, it's hard for people to be close. You know, we need to have space in love. What kind of people can truly love you? We'll be very lucky if in life you have people who are able not just to tell you things you like to hear, but they are able to tell you honestly, tell you the truth with loving intention. When we have precious people like that, then we human beings, we can have our heart open. I always tell my students, the most precious gift a person can ever give other person is your true thought and feeling. You don't want to give it to just anybody. You give it to people who pass your test of safety. To me, the most precious gift, the most precious, difficult thing to get on earth is that when people are with you, they are willing to open their heart to you, willing to give you. That in life, when you are in true trouble and struggling, you have people you can open your heart to. And know that your heart will be safely protected, nurtured, restored. Research after research, particularly the recent 30 years, we find out that life has a lot of stress, but it is this kind of meaningful connections, it is this kind of love that buffers stress. I don't have time to go through too many medical research, but just to give you a simple one, this is a very famous and very important landmark study at Duke University by Dr. Redford Williams. Basically, they follow thousands of people who have heart disease. They find out that when people do not have regular, meaningful love relationship, within 5 years, longitudinal follow-up, for people who do not have meaningful connections, 50% pass away in 5 years. But for people who have meaningful connections, after 5 years, only 18% pass away. You don't have to study statistics, and yet you know this is very significant. So, we know that this is very precious, but how do we get that? That's the key. How do we find love? How do we live passionately? How do we truly help each other to grow and to realize our dreams? Then I want to show you what love is, what happiness is. Okay? Chinese have a word called qin. I still cannot find the English word to really capture the true meaning of that. Basically talking about the emotional closeness. If you can, you watch. This is the genuine love. And I want you to watch his eyes. Look at his eyes, so satisfied. You can look up. So, this is love. I also want to show you another clip. Do you understand what they are talking about? I don't, but I know there's love there. What is love? I have a picture of my friend and her young infant. Look at the scales between the mother and the child. You find love there. The next photo, to me, is one of the most beautiful photos, and that is also thought-provoking, which is this. So beautiful, so loving, so full of human dignity. My dear friends, so how do we get there? How do we form these true meaningful connections so that we can be happy and fully alive and fulfilled? I'm going to talk about two crucial habits we must develop, and this is based on 30 years of empirical research about what make or break relationship. Two crucial habits. First of all, I want you to do a very simple and fun experiment with me. I'm going to ask all of you to close your eyes. If you can, please close your eyes. This is a very simple exercise. Please close your eyes. And later when you open, I am going to give you only 10 seconds. I'm going to ask you to please close your eyes. When you open your eye later, I'm going to only give you 10 seconds, ask you to notice as much as possible the color of red in this room. Okay? Ready? Only have 10 seconds. Once you open your eyes, take a look at everything that is red. Open your eyes, 10 seconds. Please take a look in this room. What is red? Okay, close your eyes again, please. Close your eyes again. I want you to recall inside this room, have you noticed anything that is green in your mind? How many green do you remember? Now, please open your eyes and take a look of everything that is green in this room. What's the moral of the story? When we don't feel loved, it's not equal to love is not around. There's a wife in pain. She complained to her female friends. She said, one day, I feel sick, so I took off work. I got home early. When I got home, I was so tired. So I just lied down on a couch. When it turned dark, I did not even have the strength to get up to turn on the light. When my husband came home, he saw me, just said, oh, and then he walked straight into another room. Have you ever seen an animal like that? Is he even a human being? He didn't care at all. However, my friends, if you have a chance to interview the husband, he said that day when I went home, I saw her paralyzed on the couch. So I just went in. I did all of the dishes. Well, I cleaned up a lot of things. I took shower for our kids. What is she complaining about? Well, my friends, please remember, when you feel hurt, it's not equal to people intentionally try to hurt you. Equal sign is very important. On the same token, when you don't feel loved, it's not equal to people who have not tried to do so. It's important to learn to love wiser and not harder. That's the first crucial habit we need to develop. Please learn there are things called the language of love. We feel love differently. If your family, their love language is quality time together, please don't take 3 jobs just to make a bit more money. If people love to eat fish and you love to eat steak, give them fish, don't give them steak. If you want to know other people's love language, look at what they do to you. If your friends, whenever they see you, they always give you a gift, then you know, next time, in order for your friends to feel loved, you need to give them a gift. This is so-called the language of love. My friends, please remember one simple but very important interpersonal insight. That is, people may not remember what you said, people may not remember what you did, but people will always remember how you make them feel. When they are down and out, do they feel nurtured, understood, loved? Or do they sense your contempt and impatience? People will always remember how you make them feel. And there is a love bank account between any two human beings. Whenever the other person continues to feel nurtured and feel loved, the love bank has become very rich. And then every little tiny sin can be forgiven. This is what Chinese people have been saying. 有关系就没有关系，没有关系就有关系. In other words, when your love bank is in red, any tiny neutral event can be interpreted in a hurtful way. And therefore, to learn how to love wiser, not harder, is very, very important. There's so many things we need to learn. And my thinking is that because the time is very short, I put a lot of relationship insight in a PowerPoint called the gift. And I talked to some people at Rotary. I told them that I can leave that PowerPoint at the Rotary International Headquarters, Evanston, Illinois. If you folks are interested, you can just email them to get these tips, the insights about relationship called The Gift. My goal is free. My goal is that, my dear friends, everybody need to keep learning and loving. Let's be a student of life for life. Now, to talk about before I get into the second crucial habit, I have one more thing to say. This is related to how to truly support your spouse, how to really form close, loving relationship. That is, please don't try to change your loved ones. The state of our research shows 90% of the couples try to change each other. If you don't do anything, it's not that bad. But once you try to change your spouse or your parents or your children, the more you ask them to go east, the more they go west. I think some of you have that experience. And let's take a look at another important point. How do you form close relationship? How do you help each other to really grow? My dear friends, my recommendation is learning to become a happier and healthier person yourself. There are many things on earth that we don't have control. Don't wait to change that. There are things under your control right now. Focus on those things. In the United States, there's a huge chain called 7-Eleven. I think many other countries also have 7-Eleven. I always tell my clients, when they complain that their husband is not emotionally in tune and cannot really make them happy, I tell them that you must take responsibility for your happiness and avoid the trap of, I have the need to give you something you may not want, but you must take it. If you don't take it, I feel insulted. But once you take it, you owe me. You're supposed to give me exactly what I want. Otherwise, I'm going to punish you until you give me what I want. Oh, this is complicated. Just by this, I can talk an hour. But this is what gets people into trouble. Remember, I talked about what's the most important thing is to be able to open heart. I saw in every family, there's very good intention to love. But how come people cannot open their heart to each other? It's not safe enough. The best way, learning to become happy and a healthier person yourself. Because your loved ones, 7-Eleven, do not sell Apple computer. You need to learn to be happy yourself. And you need to go to Apple store to get an Apple computer. And interestingly, when you become a happier and healthier person, when you give up changing your spouse or children, somehow, I had those kind of witness a lot of time. They told me that somehow it becomes much easier for me to change. When you start changing people, you give them the space to grow and do the real change. This is very paradoxical, but very true. And the time is short. I must run very quickly. That is, then what is the second crucial habit? In order for you to become healthy and happy, we need to develop a second habit. The first habit is learn to love wiser, not harder. The second habit is it's important to experience felt grace and exercise kindness. What do I mean by felt grace? Grace is undeserved favor. My dear friends, every time when you close your eyes, you go to recall some of the life experience in which you feel heartwarming, you feel loved, and you feel nurtured. Every time when you recall it, you feel love again. I also don't have time to get into state of our brain science, but every time when you recall the loving moment, you get nurtured again. So for example, when you recall a lot of those love moments, not only it warms your heart, if you also observe other people's kind act, it also warms your heart. I'm going to very quickly play this clip for you. That is, take a look of the old lady walking across the street and look at what a bystander do. This car is recording everything. Look at the other SUV from the other lane. The old lady got stuck in the middle, didn't know what to do. And yet, there is this brave soul out of his way, against the traffic. He risked and did something people normally don't do. My dear friends, re-experience your felt grace. Exercise kindness whenever you can. And that gets to my third, the final. I told you to remember the three-letter word. I always feel like that life is like a train. At different stops, people get on. Different stops, people get off. Sometimes unexpectedly. On this train, none of us get to choose to be a male or female. None of us get to choose our race. None of us get to choose what time we were born. You can be born into a peaceful time or wartime. You don't even get to choose your parents. Even if you live in a wealthy family, there's no guarantee that your parents know how to love each other. But my dear friends, we all have a choice to use the eyes of our heart to see every fellow passengers, to notice that everybody have a beautiful story of life that deserve to be compassionately witnessed. All of us only have such limited life experience from which we are supposed to make sense of the whole world. But everybody on this train can be our teacher. No matter how different they are, behind the adult facade, everybody have a little boy and little girl. Universally, little boy and little girl asking exactly the same two questions. Am I lovable? Am I good for anything? That leads to my final points. Basically, I was going to talk a little bit about No One Dies Alone program. I was going to talk about the most persistent human cry is, will you be there for me in times of danger? I'm going to talk about the three-letter word, NWA. NWA is not Northwestern University advice. NWA simply means never worry alone. I end with this clip that touches my heart. We are each other's family. Look at across the race, people can love another person's little boy and little girl. Take a look at this, and then we will end.
I know how to get them babies asleep, stop crying, and go in the toilet bowl for their mamas and then get out of bed in the morning. Babies like fat. They like big fat legs too, that I know. You is kind, you is smart, you is important. You is smart, you is kind, you is important. Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
When we end, my dear friends, do you mind repeat after me to people who are on this train together for this moment? You look around at your neighbors and repeat after me. You tell them, you are kind, you are smart, and you are important. Let's try that, okay? Let's speak loudly. Now, turn to each other and say, you are kind, you are smart, you are important. Let's continue this work. To love is to bring out the best in each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Huang, and we have a special presentation for you. I would like to ask Karina to please present a special token of appreciation to Dr. Wei Shen Huang.